altogether, these are initiatives that are focusing on the tectonics, building technology, and the practice of architectural work. And CINARK itself, as the center, also has this particular task to cross over between the academy, research, teaching, and the building practice, not only architectural practice, but also the construction industry. So that's also why today we are so happy to see so many different people here. First of all, we have a large group of students, of course, and we're happy for that. But we also have a lot of colleagues from the profession, both architects and engineers, and people coming also from some of the different consulting offices who also disseminate knowledge about building technology. But to return to the topic of today, the subtitle of this symposium is actually the ethics of industrialized construction, because we want to address various issues, and you'll see that or have seen that already in the program, across how and why are we working with materials, constructions, and the final architectural intentions in the build work as we do, and what sort of responsibility do we have as architects. And of course that starts already in education, but it's a long discussion. It's a lifelong how should I say, development of knowledge and insight and discussions which never end. So this is why we also wanted to address it now, because we see different things happening across our various countries in Europe, but also worldwide. And we think it's time to take this issue up. But few practical comments is that those of you who haven't, who's not sitting on a seat with a program and a bottle of water and some fruit, you're welcome either to take that seat or go and take it in the path. And second, there are more programs on the table over to the left. Also, there are books for you to buy. Few are, or there's only one that is free. That's the green CINARK book. But the other ones you can buy. If you don't want to bring them today or take them today, you can just write a note. But that shows also some of the background knowledge and research we have been doing at CINARK over the years. But now I'll let the word to Ulrich.
I get 5 minutes. Anna and me, we fall into each other 10 years ago when I felt like something is ongoing in Copenhagen. And I had a schedule of appointments and appointments and appointments, and this one lasted 3 hours because it felt like, okay, there's a linked mindset. We're both educating technology for architects. This is where we actually linking. And since then, there's this constant cooperation. And thank you for getting me in as an Velux professor. And I gave a lecture, and I gave the lecture about the research which I do, which is the Facade Research Group. And one of the focus points, and this is why I'm moving now here, is 3D printing. And Marcel Bielo, who's going to give a lecture, he actually found it for us, and we started doing 3D printing, and there are about 5, 6 PhDs doing all these 3D printing thing. Okay, this can be the future, we're going to print the whole building. And then Anna asked me, why? Do we need that? And then this is from her desk. This is a roof tile. I really like it because it's, say, she's having her desk there, I'm having mine here, and we're discussing this 3D printing thing. And then this stands there. And this is really craftsmanship. And this is this in-between thing. This is our constant discussion. Is this now ethical to do 3D printing? Or am I doing wrong when I not go for 3D printing? And that's, say, a discussion I'm actually not finally decided. And that's maybe something which this could help as well. Then BIM, which comes up every now and then, and it's kind of a architectural organization tool. You also can call it Amazon for architects, because you get all the products in there and you actually pick them, and then you're trapped to a certain supply because you have all the data file, you can't get rid of them, and then the final say tender is the same. So who's now corrupting us? When we talk to our students and something is for free from the web, you actually know you're the hostage. You're the one who's actually paying for it. So this is where we are now. We see this move. And we see this, say, tradition in the Dutch, in the German, in the Danish architecture, with all these details, and we see this change. And this is why we feel like, okay, maybe the details are dead, maybe I go for BIM or not. And For myself, I know I can't overrule market mechanisms. They are there. And now we need to identify what is the real truth behind. What's the ethics? This is, say, the starting point. This is where I think this discussion should lead to. This is why we choose this amount of people to present. And the interesting thing is to start with. And now you take over again.
Yeah, thank you. I should not present the program in detail. Well, these are some of the main questions. They're also part of the program which we're addressing today, as Ulrich just said. I can just repeat them here. What is the role or the importance of detailing in today's building practice? And do we have the need for well-developed, redefined details, specific projects, or linked to specific projects? Have they disappeared? And what about, as you just mentioned, the simplified ready-mades and products? Are they detached from local cultures? And the question about longevity and the good solutions and so forth. These are sort of like questions we will address and that will come up across the various presentations. But as for the program, we'll now, it's running in these three sections. And the first one, we have invited Sten Nebber Larsen from University of Aarhus, who actually is going to sort of set the scene. And we had, a year ago, I think, the pleasure of inviting Sten for a PhD seminar we held together as well. And you came up with a completely different viewpoint, being a philosopher yourself and also researching and disseminating ideas about pedagogy or education and so forth at Aarhus University. And we felt that you have things on your mind that we need to know also as architects to keep in mind when we sit at our desk and think about the future of architecture. So after Sten, who sets the scene, we don't have a break. We'll go right on to the no money, no detail. Ulrich will introduce that shortly. And then we have 4 speakers, as you see. After that, we are running with a very tight time schedule. We hope we will try to keep it as good as we can. We'll have a panel discussion, which also opens up for the audience to ask questions. And then we have a break. And after that, we have the second session where we more so look into the digital versus the physical dimensions. How does the tooling, which are now totally integrated into architectural practice and the education, how does that actually affect the very specificity of the physical dimension when it has to be built and when it has to live for decades of years as architecture.